Okay, great. Well, thank you, everyone. Oh, I'm going to turn my, prefer using a mic so it's a little bit more clear. Am I on? Okay, great. Thank you. It's great to be here, everyone. When I was asked to do this talk, I was asking, okay, will there be lots of students here, or it'll be mostly alumni? And they said, oh, well, we're not sure if it'll be a big mix. I think, oh, great, that's perfect. So picking topics is always hard, but these are the ones that I thought that we could do today. We don't have a lot of time, so I wanted to cover each topic enough that you hopefully got something out of it and walk away. The book, like my presentation, is very practical, and I really want each of you to walk away tonight with one thing that you're going to do. So one action item, one thing you're going to think about, one thing you're going to follow up on, one thing you're going to investigate, one thing. So that's your homework as you go through the presentation, is to think about that. So we're going to talk a little bit about finding mentors and networking, and also a topic that I quite enjoy, which is around self-awareness and self-reflection. And I'll say more about that when we get into it. So in terms of mentors, someone whose hindsight can become your foresight. And so this little maze here, hopefully as you go through your career, if you have good guides and good mentors, they will help you to see where the exits and the entrances are, and where the curves are, and that sort of thing. And that's partly what we're doing. And the other thing that we're going to talk about in this section around mentors is also in your role as a mentor. So we're going to talk about that as well. So the first thing I wanted to talk a little bit about in terms of mentors is that you have a lot of relationships right now. So for example, a natural mentor relationship, or a natural person that you can go to for advice and guidance, is your boss. But often with our boss, we have lots of other things that we talk to them about, and we hardly ever talk about things that might be in a mentoring kind of category. So for example, most of us have not sat down with our boss and said, tell me how you got to this position. You know, tell me what you've learned during your career. Tell me, so those kinds of questions that can give you insight about your career sometimes don't happen in relationships that are sitting right in front of you. And I would extend that to people like you might have friends who would be good mentors. You might have family friends or people within your circle who you would love to know more about what they're doing or how they did something, but we don't take that extra step of just asking people, can I talk to you about this, or can I ask you a few questions? And mentoring is important really throughout your life. I mean, I can say that for sure. I still seek mentors all the time. And I look at my workplace. I started my job in January, and I have a couple of colleagues who are on my senior team. They're brilliant. And so anytime I have a chance, I say, well, tell me how you thought that through. You know, how did you come up with those questions or that analysis? So I think that you can have both the longer-term mentoring relationships with certain people, but my view is there are tons of mentors out there. There are lots of people you can learn from. Just learn from all of them. You know, just keep a really open mind. You don't have to have a 2-year relationship that you meet once a month. You can have that, a more formal relationship. But again, there's lots of kind of one-hit nuggets of information and knowledge and wisdom that you can gain from the people around you. And this is true throughout your career, not just when you're first starting out. Another thing that is really important when you are meeting with someone or when you want to talk to someone is to spend a minute thinking about, what are your objectives? What are you hoping to learn? So for example, if you are looking for a job, so if you're looking for a job, then the purpose of talking to someone might be to find an angle. How did they get their job? So you're actually looking for some information or some ideas or wisdom around how they were able to get their job. How can they give you advice on how to find a job in a difficult job market? They could give you advice on how to change jobs, on transitions. So think about where your objectives are as you meet with people or as you speak to people about some of the things that you're thinking about. And seek mentors. When I started my job as the president and CEO of a healthcare company that I was at, one of the staff thought that I should meet the founder of the company. So she had been president, CEO for a period of time, had retired, and so she was, maybe early 70s. And so I met her for lunch, and we got along great. We just hit it off right away. So on the drive back to the office, I thought, okay, I need her as a mentor, because I've never been the CEO, and somebody should help me do this. So I gave her a call, and I said, okay, that was really great. I'm glad we met at lunch, and I'm just wondering, would you like to be my mentor? And what I want out of it is for you to help me with the history of the organization, the culture of the organization, and I hopefully can just run ideas off of you. And she agreed. And so we met for breakfast about once a month for a period of about a year. And it was so valuable to me because she had information that no one else had. Why are the bylaws like this? Why is this like this? Why? And she knew the history, she knew the background, and it was really great. And I think that the other really wonderful thing is that she felt that she got a lot out of it too. She felt re-engaged with this organization that she had founded many years ago. She was excited to talk about the kinds of things that she used to do, but she didn't have to do anything, so she could sit back, like a grandparent. They sort of sit back and go, oh, they're back, they're yours now. So good luck with that. But she was able to really sort of enjoy the conversation and find out what was going on. Sometimes we hesitate, I think, to just put ourselves out there and say, can you help me? Will you do this for me? Can you have breakfast with me? Can you have lunch with me? Will you talk to me about something? I think that really, what is the worst thing that could happen? The worst thing that could happen is the person does not have time. And they'll tell you that. I don't think that's that big of a deal, to be honest with you. And even if they don't have time, they know that you're looking for help in a certain area. You've already conveyed some very good information to someone who might be able to connect you with another person. So you've already done something just by asking them, even if they say no. So don't hesitate to seek out mentors, to get help with things, to look at people maybe who you admire or who are perhaps they're in a position that you're interested in, perhaps they're in a sector that you would like to learn more about. I think there's lots of different ways that you can use mentors, so don't be afraid to ask. This is something that I just also wanted to mention, silent mentoring. And the way that I describe this, I'll just tell you a little story. So a few years ago, I was at this big meeting, and there was all these CEOs of all these different places, and everybody's arguing about something. And so it was quite lively. And there's this woman, she was the CEO of one of the hospitals, and she was poised, gracious, calm. And when she spoke, everyone was really quiet and didn't interrupt her. And I was blown away by that. I thought, wow, that is really powerful that she can do that in a meeting. And she just did it by her presence. And I thought, okay, I am going to try and emulate that. So I am going to go to my next meeting, and I am going to try my best to be more gracious and more poised and more open. And it doesn't mean that you turn into someone else, but it's like you see these qualities in a person that you think, I like that quality in that person. It makes sense for me to try and incorporate it into my style. And you can borrow that. There's nothing wrong with borrowing from people. So she probably to this day has no idea that I had borrowed this idea from her, just from the way that she acted. And there's probably lots of examples in your workplace where you can take some of that on. I had two VPs that worked for me who were both very good, but very different. So one was extremely direct, blunt, got stuff done, proceed from A to B in the shortest route possible. The other one was very gregarious, people-orientated, social. They both did their jobs, they did them in a different way. And one of the greatest things that happened with these two is that they started to borrow from each other. They really tried to work to, on the one hand, for the woman to soften her style, and for the other one to become perhaps a bit more firm in certain situations, especially around conflict and that kind of thing.